Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and start getting into my recap, reviews, ranking, whatever order I normally, I don't really have a set order on them, but that's what I refer to these videos of the full-length albums that were released this year that I picked up. And I picked up 12 total, which is a lot by my standards. I'm kind of in a new phase of my life where I'm discovering a lot more new music, mainly from going to small shows. So, I got a lot of more obscure bands that I'm including in this. A lot of them are local. And I went into this in my last video. Don't take my rankings too seriously. I buy music from the bands that I enjoy, so, I mean, if I'm picking it up, there's at least to some degree a level of enjoyment in it, and then, I will admit that, there's a lot of bands that I have been keeping up with for a while that, sometimes they'll release a dud. I'll still pick it up, because I believe in the band. I want to support the band. I might get a visit from Tom Star in this video. Are you going to come visit me and interrupt my video with your cuteness? Come on up, baby. There we go. Kind of hard to see, but you get a little bit of cat tax for this video. Alright, so get right into it. My bottom ranked album is Zeta's Was It Medicine to You? Now, I gotta say that, I classify things by how they're marketed, if you will. This was marketed as an album. It has 7 songs. One of them is a brief little intro, and it's just over 20 minutes. Even though it's a 12-inch vinyl, it is mastered at 45 RPM, so, I mean, by most standards, this is an EP more than an album, but it was marketed as an album. That's what I'm going to call it on this. That's how I'm going to rank it as. But yeah, so this album is really sloppy. It's all over the place. It was largely inspired by their time in rehab, and I remember the incident that made them have to go to rehab, and that happened just a few months before this was released. So, it sounds like it was really rushed, and it was very rushed. But I'll say by far the best song on here is Steps. Has kind of a little bit more of a reggae vibe to it. They're kind of a Venezuelan progressive post-hardcore band. They blend a lot of genres. And yeah, Steps to me is the best song on here. Song Privilege, it's alright. It was kind of the lead singer. I thought it was a bit straightforward, and then, the rest of it's kind of a psychotic mess. Not too wild about it. Next up, from Galactic Engineers, we got Planetary Parade. Saw these guys at the Handlebar last year. Admittedly, my memories of them are pretty vague, but I remember really enjoying their show. They're kind of a psychedelic, surfy, shoegaze type band, 2-piece, pretty unique. And the songs on this are pretty good, I'll say. A lot of them, however, sound very unfinished. They're very brief. And honestly, I do kind of like how that sort of approach gives it sort of a mixtape vibe. I'm not sure if that was intentionally what they were going for. However, I do got to rank it lower just because I feel like it would be better if the songs are a little bit more developed. And in memory, when I saw them, it felt like, I can't remember how long their set was, but I mean, it felt like, more, their songs are, fully developed. So, like I said, I'm not sure if that was an intentional stylistic decision. It's not necessarily an entirely bad decision. I just think it would have been better with some better developed, longer songs. All right, next up, I know this might be kind of a hot take on here because I've seen this album getting tons of praise. Deftones, Private Music. I wasn't particularly excited for this album to begin with. I said this, I fairly recently picked this up. I was a little bit late to picking it up, but I love Deftones. I'm a big fan, but I'm not necessarily like a die hard. They're probably not even in my top 10 favorite bands or whatever. I don't have all their albums. I'm not a completionist, but yeah, with the year coming to an end, and me planning out these videos, I kind of figured out what the hell, why not pick up that Deftones album just to kind of round it out a bit. And I do think that's for the best, since I'm splitting the video, that gives me an even 12 albums, so I can do 6 in one, 6 in another. But yeah, I just didn't really find this album too thrilling. It's not bad, but it feels pretty weak by Deftones standards. I think one of the things that make Deftones so great is just like the dynamics of their music. I like how they can be really heavy, they can be sweet and sexy sounding, and I don't know, this album to me just kind of runs a consistent middle of the line sound. So yeah, it's like I said, I don't have all of their albums yet. There's about 3 that I'm lacking, but at least of what I have, I think Private Music is going to be my consistent bottom for now, at least. All right, gotta admit, I can't even remember the name of this album. I hope I can find it somewhere on here. Okay, very faintly on here. From Mars Volta, Lucro Sucia Los Ojos del Vacchio, or Vacchio, I probably mispronounced something like that. Yeah, Mars Volta's new album. Musically, it's not bad. Say it kind of blends the sounds of their 2 most recent albums. Their very most recent before this, the Mars Volta, that was by far like their most commercially accessible sound that they've had. And then Nocturnica was kind of a more weirder album. A lot of people felt like it was oversimplified. I didn't really hear that sound. I kind of feel like they got kind of a bit wild with, electronics and production and that type of shit. And yeah, this album kind of blends the sound. I said this a while back. I came to a realization. I think Mars Volta is honestly one of the most consistently enjoyable. Like, they might not necessarily always be like the top greatest band ever, but I don't think they've ever really done a bad album. Even their weakest albums, I kind of feel like are pretty good compared to, a lot of other bands that, you could say even have put better things out than the Mars Volta. I feel like, a lot of those bands have also put things out that are worse than the Mars Volta. So I feel like they're one of the most consistent bands in that aspect. What I absolutely hate about this album, you can see it right here on the artwork. I get a sense that, nobody involved in the actual production of this album, band, management, record label BS, I feel like nobody gave a shit about it. Which, it's actually more common than you think than for bands to put out music that, they don't like, they don't want to, or whatever, because a lot of times when you're signed to a label, they're going to have some sort of deadline involved in, and sometimes bands get some sort of writer's block or whatever, so, they'll throw together some bullshit and, they'll put it out. But usually when that happens, record labels going to have their social media hype team to, at least, build some anticipation for it. Absolutely none of that happened. That, literally, there was no social media post, from anybody directly affiliated with Mars Volta posting about this album. It was easiest to find out about it through the different stores that were doing pre-orders from it. No announcements or nothing, like I said before. No artwork. It's just a regular cardboard sleeve. So if my theory is correct, I'm really perplexed why they put it out. But yeah, it exists, and just because I feel like they don't give a shit about it, it's kind of hard for me to give a shit about it too. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm ranking it fairly low. Up next, the Phantom AD plays Ghoulish Rock and Roll. So this was one of my discoveries for this year. He played a show near me. I did not make it, but I was invited to it. And shortly after that, I started getting bombarded with social media ads for him, and I dig his sound. It's kind of old school horror movie inspired rock and roll, and it's pretty cool. But the issue that I have with this album, like I said, I treat things the way that they're marketed. This is marketed as an album, but it kind of gives me more of a compilation feel, if I can be honest. It's kind of a bit all over the place. I feel like it has a strange mix of Phantom at its best and at his worst. It got a lot of bangers, like, I Go Where the Party Takes Me. See what some other good ones, Like a Wolfman. Those two are pretty solid. But when I come to the Phantom AD, I kind of want horror inspired music, and he kind of breaks out of that a bit. He has songs about MK Ultra, Ric Flair. He has a cover of "Hit Me Baby" by Britney Spears. That's another thing. There's a few covers on this album, and none of them are necessarily bad. It's just not really what I'm coming to the Phantom for, but it's pretty cool. Like I said, it's kind of an odd mix, but I mean, everything that I get, I enjoy to some degree. Else I wouldn't be getting it. But yeah, last but not least, for this particular half of my album reviews, we got Peace Pursuers, Divided We Stand, another obscure band that I discovered live. Nothing to really show on packaging other than the front cover. It's DIY printed type packaging, which I'm not knocking at all, but that's just kind of how it is. But all of these songs feature two drummers and a singing bassist. Their bassist used a lot of effects on both his bass and his vocal, so it sounds a lot more full than it actually is. It's a cool lineup and all that. I really enjoy their live show, and kind of think that's a big reason why I'm ranking it a little bit lower. I kind of feel like it doesn't really quite capture their live energy that well. Kind of, as I've mentioned with a few of these, particularly Galactic Engineers, when I only get to see a band once, memories are kind of a little bit vague. But in memory, their live show is pretty wild. This feels a little bit restrained, but yeah, musically, I'd describe it as being sort of like crap, what was that bassist's name? From I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Hate how my memory's like that. Les Claypool. Les Claypool from Primus. To me, it sounds like basically what it'd be like if he joined Sonic Youth. So yeah, I mean, they're pretty cool, but like I said, I kind of wish I had more of the live energy to their studio sound. So yeah, those are my bottom 6 of this year. Bottom half, really. Like I said, don't take my opinions too seriously. I love all those bands. Check them out. Yeah, theoretically, I could do my top 6 right now. I just don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to bombard you with 2 videos back to back like that. So, I'll do it sometime. Maybe a week from now. We'll see. Yeah. See you then.